out of 15 that are provided for statements this afternoon. So I think I did not give the time allocation when you started, but any other senator should take just 2 minutes to make a brief comment. Not to debate about the statement, just a brief comment. Senator Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, it will be unfair to us, but we'll try anyway to do justice to a very important national conversation that's ongoing.
3 minutes each.
I will try within 3 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with what Senator Boni Alwale was informing the House, that now this so-called Rural Hospitals Association has eventually come to terms with the reality of the day. You know, when the minister was here last week, Mr. Speaker, what came out unequivocally out of the conversation she had with the House is that what the hospitals were complaining about was not SHA. What they were complaining about were the historical debts that they have with NHIF. And finally, when they have been assured that there is a process after which the verification process is done, they will be paid their money, you have seen they have resumed services. But what I like more about this program, Mr. Speaker, is that when I visited my own county referral hospital 2 weeks ago, the medical superintendent informed me that every month they used to write off bills between 7 to 10 million shillings from ordinary citizens of the county who, after being treated, will tell the doctors, see what to do with me. But now, because of this program, that debt has reduced to about 1 million shillings. What this confirms, Mr. Speaker, is that as we continue to deepen this program into the minds and hearts of ordinary Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, our public hospitals will have the resources to run, because public default by ordinary citizens who could not afford medical insurance will now become a thing of the past. On this issue, Mr. Speaker, of the matter that has been raised by the Auditor General, I would wish, Mr. Speaker, that either our health committee or even the entire sitting of the House unravel some of these questions. Because, Mr. Speaker, you know, this is a country that is governed by the rule of law. It will be important for citizens to know whether what is being alleged is actually true or false. Because I have read that particular report that Senator Sifuna is referring to. And there are certain questions that I want to have also with the Auditor General on how she arrived on some of these fundings. For example, Section 559.2 of her reports, she faults and says that the procurement method that was used was a breach of the law. Yet, Section 114 of Public Procurement and Disposal Act provides for specially procured goods and services in this country, Mr. Speaker. This is not the first time that government is using this mode, Mr. Speaker, of procuring goods and services. So it will be important for us to tell us whether, at what point did she declare this breach, Mr. Speaker, and why does she feel that certain sections of the law cannot be applied, Mr. Speaker? Yet, to the best of my recollection, this section of the law has not been injuncted by any court. It is part of the law that is still active and being used in court. Section 559 of her report, point 1, Mr. Speaker, on why this was not captured in the 2022-2023 budget review framework, Mr. Speaker, it will also be important to know from the ministry. I don't know what explanation they would have, but I suspect that 2022-2023, being a transition year from another administration to a new one, we could not have implemented the priorities of another administration, Mr. Speaker. And I believe that subsequently, there must have been a budget process through which all these were addressed. So, Mr. Speaker, so that we don't appear as if we are a house that sanitizes illegality, I want the...
Sorry, Clerk, to be fair, let both leadership enjoy the 5 minutes. To be
Mr. Speaker,
fair
in fact, I don't need, I just need an extra minute. I was concluding that to be fair to the country, it is important that that report is tabled in this House and subjected to thorough scrutiny by the committees of this House, Mr. Speaker, so that the country does not rely on newspaper cuttings by some people who may be having other agendas against share, Mr. Speaker. We know for a fact, Mr. Speaker, that there are people who used to benefit from the illegalities that were being committed under the NHIF. You think they will sit pretty, Mr. Speaker, and watch this program being rolled out? At every turn and opportunity, they will hire people to speak to them. They will incite the media against this particular program. That is why I want that report of the Auditor General tabled before this House. I want the competent committees to go after the 4 breaches that the Auditor General has highlighted. Final thing, Mr. Speaker, is on this issue of the cost of this particular system. It is important for it to be tabled so that Kenyans can know this tabulation of 104 billion. What exactly does it entail? Because I have seen even very educated people, Mr. Speaker, imagining that the government procured a software for 100 billion Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker, which I know for a fact that that cannot be accurate. I want the list and the tabulation of all the items that eventually tabulates to 104 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, so that we are able to tell, out of these items, what is it that has been charged beyond the market price, Mr. Speaker, so that eventually, as a House, nobody will say that we sanctioned an illegality when we passed the 4 laws that set up universal health care in our country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Senator Ososi Gonfrey.
Mr. Speaker, I think a lot has been said about systems. For example, there is a statement on the issue of migration of Inua Jamii to e-citizen. And then you have heard clearly Senator Sifuna raising a matter on the share system. Mr. Speaker, I think one of the biggest problems in this country is that we have laws which we don't implement. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking as an IT expert and as one of the people who worked so hard to bring in place the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. And in that law, it is very clear that big systems supporting the government must be licensed as a critical information infrastructure system. And the best practice globally is that such systems should not be operated by private individuals. That's the global practice. And such systems must be cost effective. I think one of the things that we need to look at moving forward as a House is to go back to that law and come up with the regulations on how systems that support the public sector or the government are defined in line with the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. That way, we'll be able to avoid all these challenges we are talking about, operational issues, cost issues of this system. Mr. Speaker, this is something that I want, on behalf of this House, to be given the privilege to guide this House on that, how that should be done, because it has been done in other countries as well. Mr. Speaker, the second issue is the issue of the pending bills. Mr. Speaker, I've sat in this House, and almost every day, every senator is bringing the matter of pending bill in his county. We have even had a motion passed by this House, brought by Senator Ladama, on the issue of the pending bills. But why are we not making progress, Mr. Speaker? Why are we not making progress as a Senate on this matter? I therefore want to ask the Finance Committee that we need to deal with this matter of pending bills with finality, because our people, our contractors in the counties are suffering. And we are coming here just discussing, asking governors to appear before us, and nothing happens. It's like the institutions in our counties are not being managed by us. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to request that if the Finance Committee is not able to resolve this issue,
very well, thank you, Senator Godfrey Ososi. I want to make a communication on the visiting teachers and students from Getaroet Girls School in Kericho County. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the public gallery this afternoon of visiting teachers and students from Getaroet Girls School in Kericho County. The delegation comprises 6 teachers and 70 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Let me make these other communication, then we can welcome them together. This is another delegation of staff from various county assemblies and the national various county assemblies. Honorable Senators, I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon of a visiting delegation of staff from Trans Nzoia County, Garissa County, Nyeri County, and the Kenya School of TVET, Nairobi. The staff are attending a training program on protocol and events management in the legislature at the Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training, CPST. Honorable Senators, I request each member of the delegation to stand when called out so that they may be acknowledged in the Senate tradition. 1, Ms. Ruse Atieno from Trans Nzoia County. 2, Mr. Oscar Okumu-Wanyonyi from Trans Nzoia County. 3, Mr. Friend Neyole Wanyonyi, Trans Nzoia County. Then Ms. Sarah Hussein Hissa, Garissa County. Sorry, Mr. Margaret Wanjiko Kimodo from the Kenya School of TVET, Nairobi. Last but not the least, Ms. Susan Gadaigia Sebastian from Nyeri County. On behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, extend a warm welcome and wish you a fruitful visit. Let's start under 1 minute. Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join you in welcoming these students from Getarwet Secondary School. Getarwet is in my home county, in the sub-county of Bureti. It's a very progressive school that I have had the opportunity to visit a couple of times and even build a classroom in honor of one of a very distinguished teacher from this institution who's a good friend of mine and the community there. So I hope, Mr. Speaker, that they enjoy the time seeing that how debate happens in this house. This is where your senator works. So, Mr. Speaker, when they get home, they should report to their parents that we found him at work, that he was not missing in action, that they saw him debate and engage with colleagues, Mr. Speaker. What they watched us engage in is reaction to statements. What Parliament does is you legislate, you represent, and you oversight. The debates that were happening here is part of our oversight work to see the things that government do, whether they are done in accordance with the law, or if there is breach of the law, Mr. Speaker, we order people to go where people who do such things need to go to. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I welcome also the members of the county assembly from the various parts of the country. Senate is a mother institution of our county assemblies. In fact, our clerk is a patron of the organization of clerks of all the county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, I keep reminding ourselves that we must return back to the days of legislative summit, where we used to interact as Senate and the county assembly so that we can engage and exchange knowledge, Mr. Speaker, on how we run our oversight function as a devolution family. Therefore, I hope this staff, Mr. Speaker, have interacted with the extremely competent staff of the Senate and get to learn and leave Nairobi better than they were when they arrived in this institution. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senate Majority Whip, Senator Boni Kalwale. You want to make a comment on the statements?
On the statements?
On
yes,
the
yes.
Statements.
Mr. Speaker,
3 minutes.
You said 5 minutes for the leadership.
No.
Mr. Speaker,
one for either side. So
is the deputy
now
whip?
You are eating into a 3 minutes. Can you kindly
Mr.
yourself?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the honorable Sifuna is a deputy whip.
Presenting the minority side of the Senate. He's the only leader around this afternoon.
But think about it all the same. Mr. Speaker, the issue of SHA. Number one, if people who don't like SHA must fight SHA, they should fight it with facts. I have seen excuses one after another, up to and including from the media. In today's headline, they are calling a doctor of medicine, Dr. Deborah Mulung Barasa, as clueless. A girl who scored a straight A, went to the School of Medicine at the University of Nairobi, qualified without being referred in a single subject, went on and specialized in internal medicine, and you call her clueless? If people don't think that members of certain communities deserve being in government, they should say it. The purpose of the broad-based government could not possibly have been, Mr. Speaker, that you age out Mulongo. We want Mulongo to be respected, to be allowed to work. Number two, I am one of the leaders in this country who has expressed my reservations about SHA. Not because SHA is bad, but because being an expert on medicine, surely I know something. The problem with SHA is the funding model. Nowhere in the world, Mr. Speaker, can you roll out universal health care for the Republic using private members' contributions only. The leadership of this country, we must help the government to see the positive side of SHA, and we improve on its proposal without looking like when you speak to it, you are anti-government. Mr. Speaker, in the United Kingdom, where universal health care is successful, funding is from three limbs. One, funding from members' contributions, the way Sifuna has explained. Two, funding from injection from the national treasury, the exchequer. And three, out of pocket. Mr. Speaker, we must put the national government as parliament under pressure so that the 134.5 billion shillings, give me a second.
Give the Daktari 1 more minute.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, so that the 134.5 billion shillings that remains here at Afya House when health is fully devolved, left at Afya House to be abused, that money, either 50% or 60%, should be rolled into SHA, SHIF. Mr. Speaker, if we don't do this, then the women today who are in the maternity ward in Provincial General Hospital, Kakamega, they are there today. They have been imprisoned because they did not clear the bills. Their husbands are screaming. They are in my home every morning. They are saying, my wife has been arrested after giving birth, and yet the last time when she gave birth, I walked in with an NHF card, and I was given my wife and the child. Those are the people who voted for me. And those are the people I will speak for. Those are the people who deserve representation, not you rich people. Every time I see people say, oh, accept this going on because me, I make a contribution of, I don't know, 27, 36. That is not the point. The point is the people who vote for us, the parents of the children who are in the gallery, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon. Because I know most of you, you are not any different from these people whose wives have been arrested in the province of Kakamega. Even you are lucky if your mother had delivered you in hospital, she would have been arrested. You were delivered in a banana plantation like myself. That is how serious it is, Mr. Speaker. And SHA must
more
be...
than 1 minute. That thank you, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, SHA must be properly thought through. The government made an error in trying to roll out a very good thing without proper piloting, Mr. Speaker.
Must be now concluding the statements. I can see the Senator Manzo is not ready. Then I give Senator Chalage.
Mr. Speaker, just on the issue of Social Health Authority, I want to caution the Office of the Auditor General, while under Article 229, the Office of the Auditor General is very critical in auditing. And I am the biggest champion of transparency agencies in the country. But, Mr. Speaker, we should not allow the Auditor General to sensationalize a very critical and important government program. And therefore, and media also has been part of this wider scheme, Mr. Speaker, of centralizing stories. Yet under Article 229, sub-Article 8, Parliament has a role, Mr. Speaker. We need to consider these reports. It doesn't mean that when the Auditor General, Mr. Speaker, has brought a report on the issue of SHA, we take it as a gospel truth. The Parliament must consider and look at the options that come out, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, this thing does not make, Mr. Speaker, you know, the return of brown envelope media has been a problem in this country. And you can see even they are attacking the person and stature of a cabinet secretary by calling her clueless. Yet they don't have regard on what she has already done under the Social Health Authority, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to say that the Auditor General's report on SHA is a sensational story that should be taken with a pinch of salt by Kenyans who take seriously Article 229 because Parliament must consider, Mr. Speaker. Finally, on the issue of voiding payments in Migori County, Mr. Speaker, I want to ask that EACC should be on the Migori because of the voiding payment of over 300 million, Mr. Speaker. That Migori County should be declared a crime scene. How can the county government do voiding payments of more than 300 million, yet it cannot be accounted, Mr. Speaker? If the EACC was functioning, apart from arresting 1,000, 10,000 bribery, Mr. Speaker, Migori County should be declared, Mr. Speaker, a crime scene. And I hope the Secretary General of ODM and Deputy Party Leader should call their governor. He always says they are the best practices in terms of protecting devolution. The DPL, the SG, Mr. Speaker, even as we do the oversight,
Just
Mr.
a minute,
Speaker.
Senator Chelagay, Senator Sifuna, what is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, is Senator Fernandi in order to ascribe duties that are reserved for investigative agencies to a political party? Because he knows very well that political parties are not enforcement agencies when it comes to matters of alleged criminal conduct. All breaches of the law have to be sent to the proper agencies. Is he in order to invoke ODM willy-nilly? And yet this is a very powerful political party, Honorable Speaker, in matters that have nothing to do with politics.
Senator Chelagay, you know, is a seasoned linguist, and he knows once the reports come to the Senate, they
Yes.
go to CPAC, and then CPAC makes recommendations to certain institutions.
But Mr. Speaker, the Secretary
So
General
stop
of
being
ODM...
diversionary and guiding.
No, it's not being
you know, you are guiding the Republic of Kenya, citizens of Kenya who are watching us.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I am not being diversionary or what. Mr. Speaker, you know we should avoid double standards.
And
When
also
ODM counties...
don't contribute in a way that you want to injure.
No, I'm not
your
injuring, but what
colleagues
I'm
or
saying,
other Kenyans.
Mr. Speaker, the Secretary General of ODM should avoid double standards. When ODM counties perform well, he says these are best ODM counties. But when stealing or plundering of resources like Migori is happening, the SG denies, Mr. Speaker. How can he run away from his own child? ODM, Mr. Speaker, but I'm saying as a party also you have a role to bring order and discipline. Because I don't believe ODM is a party that allows corruption to thrive in their own counties that they run, Mr. Speaker. So in as much as, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I agree that the CPAC and PIC, Mr. Speaker, must cease this matter. And therefore, I support.
Next is the Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me make a comment that I've had my colleagues try to bring it out, simply because I'm the Vice Chair of Finance and Budget in regards to the issue of pending bill. And our resolution as a committee, Mr. Speaker, is that we are going to have our plan to ensure that we are going to visit each and every county on the issue of pending bills, because it's been a thorny issue. Mr. Speaker, just to touch on the issue of SHA. SHA has really been very much politicized, diverting our focus from the people who are really in need. Mr. Speaker, us as members of parliament, we have a very executive insurance such that we are able to access very good medical services. The issue that is currently on table is affecting the common mwananchi. We should be able to have a discussion that at the end of the day brings a solution to the common mwananchi. The problem that is there is also how this communication was done. Because out of 18 million Kenyans who have registered for SHA, only 4 million are remitting. The other 14 million are not remitting, Mr. Speaker. Today, as we were looking at the PBS and the COG appeared, in their submissions, Mr. Speaker, out of the 85 billion that has been increased to go to the Ministry of Health, 30 billion almost is going to the Ministry of Health, but to be able to do other functions. And then we are also asking, this additional funding is supposed to be able to do what? Because any additional funding that has gone to the Ministry of Health should also be able to show or strategically be able to show how much is going to be able to handle the issues of SHA. The discussion that we are having and trying to negate SHA so much and make it look so bad, yet it is one of the best programs that the government is offering. We are forgetting that you do not know when you'll get sick. You do not know. Sickness does not knock. So in whichever conversation that we are having, let us have a conversation minding the common mwananchi and addressing the key issues. The issue of the Auditor General, yes, there are concerns. Let them come to Parliament. Let us address them. Let us look at them. But the issues of the Auditor General are different issues. The issues of the mwananchi going to the hospital and not being able to get a service is an issue. And that should be addressed collectively. Sickness does not know tribe. Sickness has no time. And sometimes it doesn't matter how.
Honorable Senators, you must conclude the statement hour because we have lined some motions, bills. Last but not the least now is Senator from Mahanzo Daniel, Minority Side.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the moment we passed the SHA and CHIF law, the NHIF law was repealed. And therefore, there's no possibility or chance that people will go back to that. And therefore, we must do our level best, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that this program, very important, touching all our counties, touching every single village in this country, that is sorted. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in life, the Kenyans have really suffered. We, the members of parliament, are the one rescuing people from hospitals. And again, Mr. Speaker, the thieves of NHIF are known. Where they have hidden the resources is known. The government, the DPP, the DCI should do everything possible, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that all the thieves are arrested, charged by ESCC, and make sure that the monies are recovered, because they live in this country, they are known, some of them are in government, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, it is important so that we bring this matter to conclusion, to come up with a way forward, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that Kenyans, a common Kenyan, is served by this system, so that it should not look like it were better when NHIF was there, but make sure that nobody is detained in hospital after giving birth, no one is detained in hospital after getting sick, and especially when they come from poor families whereby they are not able to afford and to make sure that they are free from such mistreatment, being mishandled. And meanwhile, while we sort out this, I think the government then should come up with a strategy of releasing of these people or getting them paid for, because we have raised more than enough money. The Minister of Health is devolved. Money is stuck at the national government. And most important, Mr. Speaker, and now those are funded, then any deficits should be taken care of by the Minister of Health. Otherwise, I am grateful, and thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to make these comments. Thank you.
So, Honorable Senators, let's go to the next order now.